Most of Robert Service's poems were about the Yukon, but he did venture into the realm of some cowboy poetry, and this is one that he wrote about an outhouse. And before the days of indoor plumbing, we used to have to go outside and have a little house that we go in and use the bathroom, and there's a lot of poems of cowboy poetry about that. This one I quite like. Ma tried to wash her garden slacks, but couldn't get 'em clean. So she thought she'd soak 'em in a bucket of benzene. It worked all right, and she wrung 'em out, then wondered what she would do with all that bucket load of high explosive residue. She knew it would be dangerous to scatter it around, for Grandpa liked to throw his lighted matches on the ground. Somehow she didn't dare to pour it down the kitchen sink. But what the heck to do with it, poor Ma just couldn't think. Then nature seemed to give the clue, as down the garden lot she spied that edifice that graced a solitary spot, their palace of necessity, the family's joy and pride, enshrined with morning glory vines with grated seats inside. Just like that cabin Goldilocks found occupied by three. Except this time B-E-A-R was spelled B-A-R-E. A tiny seat for baby's bear, a medium for Ma, and a full-size section sacred for the bear of Grandpapa. Well, Ma was mighty glad to get that worry off her mind, and hefting up the bucket so combustibly inclined, she hurried down the garden to that refuge so discreet, and poured the liquid menace safely through the center seat. Next morning old Grandpa arose. He fixed a hearty meal, then sniffed the air and said, "My gosh, how full of beans I feel. Danged if I ain't fresh as paint. My joy will be complete with just a quiet moment on the usual morning seat. Smoke me pipe and meditate and maybe write a poem, for that's the time when bits of rhyme gets jigging in me dome." He sat down on that special seat, slicked shiny by his age. Looked like Walt Whitman, just a silver-whiskered sage. Stuffed his corn cob to the brim and tapped it snugly down. Chuckled, "Have a perfect day, I reckon this is crown." He lit the weed, it soothed his need, it was so soft and sweet. And then he dropped the lighted match, clean through the middle seat. His little granddaughter Rosaline cried from the kitchen door, "Oh Ma, come quick, there's something wrong, I hear the dreadful roar. Oh Ma, I see a sheet of flame, it's soaring higher and higher. Oh Mummy dear, I sadly fear our comfort cot's caught fire." Poor Ma was thrilled with horror at them words of Rosaline. She thought of Grandpa's matches and that bucket of benzene. So down the garden geared on high she ran with all her power. For regular was Grandpa, and she knew this was his hour. Grasping, gasping Rosaline, she peered into that fire, a roaring, soaring furnace now, perhaps old Grandpa's pyre. But as them twain expressed their pain, they heard a hearty cheer. Behold the old rapscallion squatting in the duck pond near. He cried, "Say, folks, did ye hear that big blowout I made? Scared me stiff. Hope you-uns was not too much afraid. But now I'd best be crawling out of this dog-gasted wet. For what I aim to figure out is what the heck I et."